Hey there, MJ friends. We got a lot to talk about yet again. I promise it won't be all about correlations this time around, but a little bit about correlations. But first off, attention is clearly shifting to the USMJ space. Today is the most significant day that I personally ever noticed as far as USMJ getting a ton of action, Canadian MJ getting very little action. So here's the US side of things. This is marijuanaindex.com. If you sort them for the percent change. Curaleaf had a huge day. We're going to talk about all that, but Curaleaf set the tone. We got 15%, 31, 10, 9, 8, 8, 6, 5, 4, 4. The bottom line is it's all green when you sort that way. And then you go to the Canadian side of things and you sort it in the same way, and it's a very different story. You got some bulls. Vivo was a bull, and VFF isn't on here. VFF was a big bull today. But aside from that, obviously it's telling us a very different story. So what happens when the FOMC happens is we get an outlook for federal monetary policy, and that causes a big shift in funds. We see money move all around, and sector rotation is what they call it. So what we saw is banks, money leaving banks and pouring into the tech sector. SPY confirmed a bull flag on the daily time frame, saw a huge follow through, and essentially what the Fed said is, you don't have to worry about anything market bulls for all of 2019. We're not going to raise rates on you. That's exactly what the market wanted to hear, and that puts them in the clear. We're looking at all-time highs in the market. Whether we're going to get there or need to see some further weekly consolidation before we get there, that's what our sights are set on. So that's outline number one. Number two, we have a couple USMJ events. We have the banking bill vote upcoming. That's this coming Tuesday. That's an event that is building up some hype. We have Cura coming out with their news. They had a slew of news in terms of opening dispensary, deal with CVS, which is a major drugstore here in the US. And they had, I believe they had financials as well. They had a lot going on. So Cura standing out. They're on CNBC here after hours. So they set the tone. They have a lot of excitement coming in the MSO, which is multi-state operators in the US. And again, just the vote upcoming on Tuesday is a little bit of added juice to that momentum. For the vote, I personally am not holding my breath that this vote's going to pass, and I actually don't think that we are going to get this bill passed. I think it'll go through the House on Tuesday, and I think it will make its steps towards the Senate, but I don't foresee it passing the Senate, and that's where I'm setting my expectations. Now, there's people that are way more versed in the political side of things of the country than I am, so maybe they have a different opinion, but that's just for me. I'm not getting my hopes up that this is going to pass this time around. It's just another step forward towards progress, but it's a slow road towards that progress here in the US. We're looking for major events, rescheduling of marijuana. We're looking for the Banking Act or a Banking Act to pass. We're looking for federal medical legalization, and we're looking for all-out federal recreational legalization. Those are the major things that we're looking for. So I personally am beginning to establish more longer-term positions in the U.S. I'm looking at these companies here. I'm looking at, I've got my IAN position. I'm looking at OH, GTII, TRUL, CWeb, Cura, and MedMen. If they can change the weekly trend, I'll be interested in MedMen. So those are the names that I'm looking at. I'm establishing a long-term position, looking multiple years out. This is not my trading style. I made a New Year's resolution to do more swing trading and less day trading, and I can't day trade these names because they're traded on the OTC. The liquidity is not there for me to, I need to figure out how to get rid of these alerts. The liquidity is not there for me to be able to do my, my style of trading that I've been doing for the last year. So I'm looking to be more hands-off. I'm allocating cash that I don't need anytime soon, and I'm looking longer term out. Now, there's a couple of things that would make me get rid of these long-term positions. Number one would be market weakness. If we see, an all-out dump or significant market weakness or some kind of black swan event, I would look to exit prematurely. If we see losses of weekly uptrends, those are absolutely going to make me more cautious. Weekly uptrends, we want to hold these as long as possible. We are aware of the summer lull that the MJ space has seen in the recent past, but that's not enough for me to not get in these positions. Another factor, a red flag, would be, if we had some kind of president that was anti-MJ, which I don't foresee happening. So these are all low-risk events, in my opinion. And the biggest risk that I had was the market strength overall. But again, the Fed giving the green light is a sigh of relief to the market as a whole. So that's what's leading me to establish these longer term positions. I'm not going all in on these positions right now. I am beginning to enter positions. If we keep going up, I will enter and average up. And I love to average up because that means I'm profitable. That means I have a cushion before I'm at break even price. And that's best case scenario. If we pull back, then I will look to add to my position and average down a bit, ensuring that I'm not averaging down into a loss of the weekly uptrend and a big shift in momentum. So there are plenty of catalysts in the US that we're looking for. The Canadian MJ names will benefit from changes in the US that are going to benefit these MSOs. And that's what I'm going to start calling them now. So multi-state operators. And they're going to still see beneficial, action from it. But again, it's all risk to reward. If you want to be more conservative but still play the MJ sector, you're looking at the established names like CGC and some of the other big boys on the Canadian side of things. If you want higher risk and higher reward, you're looking on the US side of things, and you're well aware that it might take a couple of years to play out. And of course, the 2020 election is something we're looking towards as well. That's 20 months away, 19 months away. That's a long time, but we are anticipating that most of the candidates are probably going to be pro-MJ. So I'm interested to see if, Trump's going to try and counteract that and take that card away from the Democrats by potentially getting at least a bit of pro-MJ himself, whether that's just medical, who knows, we'll see. But in my opinion, again, I'm not a political strategist, but if I could take that card away from the Democrats, that would be pretty key in my opinion. So that's the rundown. Now we'll do the usual technical analysis. And again, do your due diligence. Read the financial statements of these companies. We put out the video, Intro to U.S. Marijuana Stocks, months ago and highlighted most of these names that I just listed off there. So watch that video if you want tips on how to do due diligence and what to be looking for long-term investments in this space. So we'll go through the usual rundown here. And again, our focus is going to shift. So these videos have been very heavy Canadian MJ. I'm going to start putting in some more US MJ names because there's more action, and I'm going to be taking away some of the other Canadian MJ names. So sorry if that's your company, but that's the way she goes. So I exited CGC this morning, and I used the SPY correlation to exit. Now you might be saying SPY was a raging bull all day, up 1.13%. What do you mean you exited because of the correlation? And the answer is, if you look at the 5-minute time frame and how we started today on CGC, we saw 10 minutes of bullish action. The hourly equilibrium that we were watching from the end of the day yesterday broke bullish. That's all great. But why I took profit is the key resistance level that we're watching is 48. That was the bull trigger of our trade for the daily equilibrium breaking yesterday. As soon as I saw that we rejected from $48 and couldn't get over $47.90, and as soon as I saw that SPY, this is the start of the day, that SPY had 40 minutes of straight green and then just an absolute ramp up the entire day. So if I see SPY in a massive bull move and I see CGC puttering out after 10 minutes of a bull move under resistance, that tells me exit. And it also made it an easy decision because I exited right around my break-even price, ended up with about a taco loss. I exited in the 47.70s with my average in the 47.80s. So took that off. We had inside bar, bear break. There's huge red flags when you're seeing CGC do this while the S&P 500 is doing the exact opposite. So again, correlation was the reason I exited, or I should say lack of correlation, because I know that if SPY is a raging bull to start and CGC is not participating, the only thing that we can see is correlation to the downside and perhaps any SPY consolidation adding more downward weight to CGC. So my observation of these major Canadian MJ names over the past 2 weeks, aside from ACB, I'd say ACB has seen correlation favoring the bulls on SPY the most, but everybody else, specifically CGC and Cron, are seeing correlations that favor the bears. And what I mean by that is when we see a bull move on SPY, we see a very timid bull move on those names. And when we see a bear move on SPY, we see a tick for tick bear move on these names in many instances. So that's the same as, seeing one step forward, or let's say S&P 500 goes 3 steps forward, and these Canadian MJ names recently have gone 1 step forward, but they're going 1 step backward every time that SPY takes 1 step backward. So that's what I call a bearish correlation. So we're still keeping an eye on things because CGC is still, it could still follow through with its bull break, but it's just not where I want my money right now because we closed weak, we closed near the low of the day. It was an inside bar. The most important support of 44.97 is still holding. But again, money is going to where there's significant opportunity, and that right now is in these U.S. multi-state operators. And we're going to see, can this momentum continue Friday and Monday as we head into this known event? Now, you Canadians up there, you've got Ontario sales April 1st. And that, in my opinion, is not going to be a significant event. That being said, I'm well aware that I'm in the U.S. and I probably have some bias towards the U.S. names. And I also have some unawareness of how big a deal, first day sales in Ontario would be. But my argument is this date is known. It is a known event. And when you have a known for sure event, the market prices it in before it happens. That's what happened with the first day of sales that we saw back however long ago when we dumped. The vote for the U.S. is a known event, but the outcome is not known. So the market cannot fully price in the House passing this bill because there is uncertainty. It might not pass. So it's the difference between a certain event and an uncertain event as far as how much the market can price that in. So I do believe that we will see some bullish momentum in the USMJ sector leading up into Tuesday, and then we'll see how it plays out from there. So we're still watching key support on CGC. We just grinded this 5-minute base here. And in the past, I would look at that and say that's potentially accumulation. And it is still potentially accumulation in this scenario. But again, closing near the low of the day, I'm going to be looking elsewhere. I'm going to keep an eye on CGC and watch how it continues to trade. But I'm going to be looking at other plays in the near term. For the bulls, look at these resistances. 47.98, 48.01. We got the bull break and rejected. And then today, 47.90. So look at the inability to close over $48. Look at all these rejections back here as well. It is clear that $48 is this line in the sand that is rejecting the bulls consistently for the past few weeks. A close over $48 will be meaningful for me, but we are 4% plus away from that area right now. Cron, clear bear close, little uptick in bear volume, not significant, but it is an uptick worth noting. Lower high on the daily, another lower high on the daily at 22.04, and we're heading down to our only nearby support. If we break 2036, which is potentially going to be tested tomorrow, 1950 is the next level. This is the time when I start to watch for hourly oversold bounces on these Canadian MJ names. I'm going to be watching Cron if the hourly RSI, I'm more comfortable in this sector when the hourly RSI is down in the mid to low 20s. So if we see a bear break and a flush at $20 tomorrow, and this hourly RSI is down around 20, I will be interested in watching for the potential of an oversold bounce. Best case scenario is seeing 4-hour oversold and hourly oversold RSIs in unison. That makes me even more confident. So essentially the way we're set up here, itchy mustache nose, is that we have the major Canadian MJ names looking at some potential hourly oversold bounce plays. I don't think CGC is in that category because we did see that bull move yesterday. Not quite there yet. So some Canadian MJ names in hourly oversold bounce modes and a lot of US MJ names in bull breakout modes. So there are plays to be had in both directions for bulls, but again, US MJ has that attention. As far as resistance goes on the hourly for Cron, let's just wrap Cron up here. So Cron has an hourly resistance up at 20.74, but it's just a straight pullback all day today, and we'll see if we get that $20 flush tomorrow. APHA pulling back, still a daily uptrend. Bulls are trying to change the hourly trend to tell us that the daily higher low has been established. So we have a high, low, lower high, trying to form a higher low here at $10. Bulls have to see a clear break of 10.15 and 10.16, might as well just call it 10.16, in order to change this hourly trend. If we get that bull break, we say, all right, our daily higher low is now established at 980, and we're going to be looking for a bull move back up towards the recent high, keeping in mind that the size of the pullback at this point favors a tightening range more than it does continuation. From where we stand, that's a 7% bull move, and the odds that we see a 7%, 8% bull move to break a double top from where we stand right now is less likely than for a bounce and a lower high and a tightening range, in my opinion. So have to change the hourly trend, step number one. That has not happened yet, and once that does happen, we'll shift our sights to the double top at 10.68. Still a daily uptrend though. Cron is not in a daily uptrend anymore. CGC is in a daily uptrend. ACB still looks just fine overall, but we did close at the low of the day. Bulls would be a little bit more confident if that was not the case. It was a daily inside bar. If we break 951, we have to take a step back and patiently wait for the daily higher low to be established. Declining bear volume, so that's a good sign. The hourly trend has to change. Last lower high is 965. Anything under that keeps the hourly lower highs intact. So for all these Canadian MJ names, the major ones, have to change the hourly trend for higher lows to be found. ACB is the strongest daily chart out of all of them. APHA is now second, and CGC would be third. Cron would be fourth. TLRY, who cares? TLRY, still within our tightening range. Hourly has a double top at 71.25. That's a very clear level. And now our short-term support level is down at 69.30. So that's the range to be watching, and we can clearly say bulls aren't going anywhere unless we break that double top of 71.25. Another point I want to make about correlations. What about correlations with SPY and the USMJ names? Much less significant in my opinion, and the reason for that is the market is trading on the backs of bots and algos and automated trading systems, high-frequency traders, flash traders, and you don't get that on the OTC exchanges. The liquidity is not there, and I'm sure they're there to a certain degree, but as far as, comparing what goes on the NYSE and the NASDAQ to what goes on the OTC, very different game. So once we start seeing these MSOs, upgrade or uplist, whenever that becomes legal or becomes a possibility, that's going to change things, but that's not happening in the near-term future. OGI, double top at the all-time high by 1 penny. Let's see where we rejected. If we rejected first thing, and we did. So again, very clear signal to take profit. If you reject from resistance, specifically an all-time high, and you cannot break it in the first 15 minutes of trading, it's a red flag. Came down all the way back to the low of the consolidation at the end of the day dump yesterday, and then broke it at the end of the day. So again, there is a common theme here of end of the day dumps on OGI. And if you get this pattern notable, where, I don't even have to point it out. If you're watching OGI, this pattern happens. It becomes self-fulfilling because everybody bails before the end of the day, and then it just magnifies that move. So just be aware that that is currently a little bit of I'd call it almost a little sickness that the stock has on OGI with this end of day dump syndrome that it is not able to shake at this point. And as far as the daily chart, we closed at the low of the day. We've got support of 914. Bulls really want to hold that level because if we break 914, you could call that the loss of the daily uptrend, and 879 would be the next level. So clear weakness at the end of the day on OGI. TRST was a different story, very bullish. We were looking at the potential of this little bull flag, held the double bottom at the low of the last 2 days. Inside bar bull break today, close up near the high of the day, lacking the volume, but the bulls will certainly take it. And we're looking up at that 1348 recent high of resistance, which is the only resistance level nearby. So it's very clear if you're a short-term trader, it's very clear that this is the must-hold level, that double low. And when that support is very clear, it can make you confident to establish a trade game plan knowing that that is the level that you're watching. So if we can't break 1348 tomorrow, first short-term support is 1310. And if we break 1310 without breaking 1348, we're going to look for a 4-hour equilibrium. So hold 1310, break 1348, and the bulls will be just fine, looking up towards 1350 psychological. And the next price level is 14 psychological after 1350. Hexo, also looking for the daily higher low, declining volume, need to change that daily trend in order for the higher low to be established. And we have a high of the day, low of the day, bull move up. So we need to see a break of 912 to start that shift in momentum. And then our new daily higher low will be 875. Again, pretty decent pullback. So we might see the lower high form compared to 970. And we'll be watching for a loss of the hour. Once we change the hourly trend, if we lose the hourly uptrend before breaking 970, again, another time frame where the 4-hour equilibrium would be most clear. But that's getting a little ahead of ourselves. Need to break 912 tomorrow, and then we'll have our daily higher low established. VFF, bull flag confirmation, and a beauty. So these bulls, this is just bull flag, bull flag, bull flag, bull flag. Awesome follow through. Hourly time frame, held support, started the day, all bulls all day. Certainly looked like VFF was seeing SPY correlation with the strength that SPY was having. 23.47 did break, not a huge clear bull break, so the bulls definitely want to add to this tomorrow. 24 psychological will be after 23.64, and our new daily high or low is clearly 2034. And again, we will look for weekly consolidation, which we know is due at any point in time, and we have to be aware it's coming, just a matter of when. But losing the daily uptrend will be the indication weekly consolidation is underway. And if you are in a position here, you need to already have your game plan established. Are you going to sit through weekly consolidation that's going to take away, 20% of the price from the high? Or are you going to exit and try and put capital elsewhere or maneuver around a bit? T-God. Also looking for the daily high or low, looks very similar to Hexo. So T-God needs to change the hourly trend, and we need to see a bull break tomorrow of 518 to get the higher low and higher high. And there's a bit of an inverted head and shoulders pattern trying to form here to shift that momentum. If we break 518, our new daily higher low is established at 475, and we'll be looking back up towards 581. Again, same scenario where the distance from continuation means that a lower high compared to 581 is a more likely scenario than just a V-shaped recovery to higher highs. And that's the case for most of these names, ACB included. ACB, Hexo, and T-God, very similar on daily charts, except the fact that ACB closed near the low of the day. That does make it a little bit different. CURA, so there's your bull move. Again, we've talked about the strategy on gap up opens. What do you want to see on a gap up open to be confident that the bulls are going to see continuation? You want to see that profit-taking flush, quick pull back, and then you want to see a new high of the day shortly thereafter. And then you need that low of the day to hold. Once you hit that new high of the day, if that low of the day breaks, it's a big red flag in the short term. So here on the 5-minute time frame to start the day, there's your profit taking on the gap up open. So how do you know a gap up open is not for selling? If you hold the low, you see a bounce, and then you break the high of the day, that's not a gap up for selling. That's a gap up with strength behind it. If you hit the low of the day, and if we traded here for 15 minutes and then drop to a lower low, that's your red flag that the gap up is for selling. So it's the little clues in the short term. And if you looked at this on the 2-minute time frame and tried to see that pattern play out, we had the high of the day and the low of the day in the first 4 minutes, just sideways trading into the bull break on increasing bull volume. So then we had CNBC, or we do have CNBC here at the end of the day, and bulls were looking to load for that. And it was just a huge breakout on the hourly inside bar, and we ended up breaking support by 1 penny, but pretty much a double bottom at 1046, and then just a rocket ship on increasing bull volume. Huge bull volume standing out. We look at the daily time frame. Again, look at that volume. So very clearly, Cura is getting recognized, and this might push us to the forefront of being the lead USMJ bull. And I don't mean fundamentals, I mean technically speaking. If you have this kind of dollar volume, we're talking $70, $85 million traded. And if you see that kind of volume, you see blue sky breakout, you see a large market cap, you're on CNBC. These are all things that put you to the forefront. So Cura might be one that we're going to be watching for potential sector leader in the USMJ, and then applying it and watching for correlations between it and other multi-state operators in the US. Gap ups. So with this strong close in blue sky breakout, we anticipate the likelihood of a gap up open. There's a different scenario when it happens on a name that trades pre-market, like all the major Canadian names now on the major exchanges, and the names that do not trade pre-market. That shifts things. And in my opinion, we're more likely to see gap up opens on strong closes on names that do not trade pre-market versus names that do trade pre-market. Support limited in the short term for sure. We're looking down at 1089. There's euphoria to the max. So again, you just want to be cautious. If you're buying after a 30% move, that is chasing to a certain degree. There's still money to be made, but you have to be aware that you're playing with fire to a certain degree. So watching the other names now that are definitely seeing strength because of the Curaleaf strength. CWeb, oh man, I wanted to play that bull break. It broke right at the end of the day there. New all-time high on CWeb. I really like this tightening range. So I'm waiting on Cura and CWeb for my entries, and I should have pulled the trigger on CWeb, but that's all right. We're still running here. Again, it's very extended, and that's why I held off, because we are so extended, even though we are in blue sky. So 26, 27 psychological resistances from here, and a new support established at 2481 on the hourly as another blue sky bull. So far, that's 2 blue sky breakout bulls on the U.S. side of things. TRUL, huge day, huge volume, shift and change in the daily trend. We have our low, high, higher low on the daily is 1545. Clear bull break. It actually happened 2 days ago, but obviously following through in a big way today. And we're looking up at 2030 as the next major resistance, but there's a level at 1910 to be watching as well. Hourly bull flag at the end of the day, short-term support 1768. If we lose hourly uptrends on these big USMJ runners, we zoom out to the daily and watch for daily consolidation. Again, we need to ensure that all of these USMJ names maintain weekly uptrends from here. That's very important for me for any long-term positions I'm in. I do not like being in long-term positions that are in weekly downtrends. So that would be enough for me to at least lighten up, if not exit positions. But there's a lot of USMJ names that are in comfortable weekly uptrends at this point. So you can see, again, proximity to all-time highs, get some catalyst, get some bull news. I mean, you see a 30% move on CURA, and what that does is it circulates articles, and the euphoria and the FOMO trickles out to, groups of people. Of course, the chart guys and other trading groups, we hear about this, and we're on the forefront of seeing these big moves as they happen. But there's people out there that aren't watching every single day and that, read the articles online, and people start talking about, hey, U.S. marijuana stocks, it went 30% the other day. I can make a lot of money. That makes sense. We're probably going to see law changes. It just sparks the conversation when you have a big runner leading the way. That's what happened with cryptocurrency. As soon as you see big gains, everybody's talking about it. It magnifies the big gains. FOMO and euphoria and making money are contagious, and it's going to spark more conversations, and it's going to be circling around the internet in the form of articles and things. So I expect, the YouTube videos, the views here are going to probably reflect that. And if we see the USMJ space continue to run, we're going to see a shift, because all of my USMJ videos get less views than the Canadian videos. When I do the weekend split, we get Canadian MJ videos probably 5,000 roughly, 4.5 to 5,000 views. And the USMJ names are like a third lower. And it's because people care more about the Canadian sector because it's more established, but also because it's been, bigger for runners and bigger gains and more gains to be had there. I expect those views to shift a bit, specifically with what's happened. And I bet this weekend we're going to see that happen. So, GTII, huge breakout. So GTII is now getting followed through. It's been a little bit of a laggard most recently because we had a pretty significant pullback. But again, just weekly higher low, higher low. Here's our continuation move, breaking into space over 2018. Next level is 2158, and then there's more space after that. So a lot of these names, looking back at TRUL as well, just limited resistances on the weekly time frame. And if that dollar volume comes in, these are, they're going to move. So big daily bull move, again, extended. Hourly time frame absolutely needs to consolidate. Very overdone. We don't have an hourly higher low below the low of the day, or I should say above the low of the day. So we know the next time we consolidate on the hourly, we're going to get a higher low to form, but we need that consolidation. We ran 14% today with no pullback. So overextended, but congrats to the bulls breaking out multiple key resistances. Look at this wall of resistance right around $20, blew right through it, and most importantly, closed above it as well. MedMen is on my list, and I'm watching for a weekly trend change. So this is a potential laggard play. I want a weekly uptrend. I want to see a break of 447. We have a new support on the daily established very clearly at 392. And if we can get a bull break of 425 and 447, that's our daily trend change. Lower high, lower low, lower high, higher low, trying for the higher high. So keep an eye on MedMen, because if this weekly trend changes, again, get over 506. That's a ways away, but get over 506 and there is a lack of resistance. We already had earnings come out, so that's out of the way in terms of a potential negative catalyst. And let's see if MedMen can get back into a good light in this space. Changing trends and seeing some gains get you back in good standing very quickly. OH, smaller name, not as much hype, not as well known, but proximity to blue sky breakout absolutely is having our attention. $11 is that level. We're currently about 9% away from an all-time high. Healthy daily consolidation, sideways trading. Bulls want to break 1030 and 1050 to see continuation. Again, lots of volatility in terms of, this range on this one candlestick is about 8% this day. So just be aware that it's thinly traded. That means use less capital and use longer term time frames supports as potential stop levels, and we'll see if this inside bar gets more of a clear bull break into tomorrow. We can see the volume spike, but we need a break at 1050 to be looking back at the all-time high. KHRN, have this one on watch. Cup and handle on the daily. And actually, Kira, remember we were watching that weekly cup and handle? Well, that news certainly made it played out real quick. High, here's our cup. Lower high, inability to break resistance. There's your handle of consolidation. And then there's your news breakout in a big way. So KHRN, daily cup and handle. We have our resistance, the cup of consolidation, the inability to break resistance by 9 pennies. Very healthy, brief pullback. And I entered today, I'm swinging KHRN due to the hourly equilibrium breaking bullish. So the break of 398 I entered on. We saw a big stop buy trigger there as well. We gave a lot of it back, but still watching. And again, my position size is reflecting that 376 is the must hold level for me. So I'm looking on the daily time frame. The daily pattern is why I want in this position. So the daily support level is what I'm playing off of. And if we break 376, I'll be out of this position. But otherwise, I'm looking for a blue sky breakout. We've got 415, 426, and 435 as nearby resistances. Again, interested due to the proximity to all-time highs. This is not US MJ, it's Mexican and Latin American MJ, but absolutely worth keeping an eye on. So now we're going to watch dollar volume. We're going to watch views on the YouTube videos. We're going to watch the narrative that we're seeing in social media groups on Facebook or Twitter. We're going to watch stuff. There's opportunity out there. Again, the path to legalization in the US is slow compared to Canada. The election, in my opinion, probably has the most punch in the terms of short-term clear event power of seeing a big run in the sector. Obviously, we have a run right now, but how long is it going to last? Is it going to putter out on Tuesday? I don't know. All we know is that there is clearly something going on in the USMJ space, and we're going to continue watching it. So if you are looking, I'm going to stop there. Have a great day. We'll see you later. Do good things. Blah. So leaving Boulder, Colorado, heading west towards Utah, leaving the sunset in the rearview mirror. And again, just not really a whole lot of stories for this chapter, but just some more scenery as I make my way west. Again, just another incredible spot where you drive up a dirt road. You have this massive expanse in front of you with nobody around. Nobody drove up this road while I was there. You pull off to the side and you pitch your tent and you sleep there. And that's what you wake up to and that's what you go to sleep to. And it's just this magnificent, it's just hard to put into words when you're out that open by yourself in that massive space. It's great. Do it. Get to know yourself. Be comfortable by yourself. When you're comfortable by yourself and you're confident by yourself, there's nothing that can bring you down. So many fears are based on boredom or being alone or needing to be with someone, needing a partner. And if you can conquer all of that and be good to go by yourself, in my opinion, that is a significant, I don't want to say skill to have, but a significant comfortability in your life that can make a lot of potentially negative situations very positive. And there's a lot less fear. When you know you're good to go on your own, there is a lot less fear. So some more epic hikes, trails, landscapes, lakes, mountains, trees, landscape changing, entering more arid, deserty. Utah is definitely a different state in the sense that, I'd be driving around. There's some moo friends. I'd be driving around and just pull off the side of the road and filter my fresh water in Colorado. I didn't really have to plan ahead too much. But driving around in Utah, it's an arid landscape and definitely want to have a lot of water on hand because there are long stretches with lots of miles in between any sources of water. A lot of these backgrounds, expansive, they just look like paintings. It almost doesn't even look real with how far away they are. So next we will go to Dinosaur National Monument, which is on the east border of Utah. Then we'll go down to Canyonlands and Arches, and we'll do all those national parks. Those were some great ones as well. Definitely highlights of the trip. And I will see you then. Have a great rest of your day.